Florida, as Toyota presents the Grand Prix of Miami. Hello and welcome. I'm Paul Page as ABC starts its IndyCar season, and the IndyCars begin their 17-race series. It is incredibly exciting here down Biscayne Boulevard at better than 180 miles an hour. But Bobby Unser, new race means new trouble.
Well, they've had a lot of it too. About half of the cars have already had spin-outs or accidents. A lot of the problem comes from running between asphalt and cement, and also it's a little bit rough, and they don't know the racetrack. It's all new to them. Hopefully we're not going to have that kind of trouble in the race because they're already used to the track.
And Sam Posey, this is more than a race, it's a festival.
Well, Paul, this place has been sold out for days, and there's a special excitement in the air because people feel that the Penske domination of last year is over, at least for the time being, and we expect to see today, at the end of the race, a different team in winner's circle.
And there are many more new things here. Let's go pit side and Jacques.
Well, new versions of chassis, Reynards, of course the Lolas, and then the Penske's. New engines from Ford Cosworth, Mercedes on board, and the Hondas are back again, and Toyota on the horizon. The Goodyear tires are back, but they've got new competition as well. Firestone Tire and Rubber Company is back. After 20 years of absence, they've got 5 cars in the starting grid today. There's also a lot of new drivers on the grid. Let's check in with Terry Gerald.
Jack, you talk about new faces, consider this. In the top 10, rookies, Gilles de Ferran, also Christian Fittipaldi, a couple of longtime veterans who've been absent for more than a year, Scott Pruitt and Danny Sullivan, they're in the top 10. And how about Mauricio Gugelmin? He finds himself in the front row alongside Michael Andretti. New changes, new chassis, new engines, new tires, we've got it all. New season about to get underway as we go up to Paul Page.
So much happening here as they are on the parade lap. The pole sitter is Michael Andretti. He returns to Newman Haas Racing, where he won a title in '91. Second quick outside of the front row is Mauricio Gugelmin. He moves over to Pac West after leaving Ganassi. In the second row on the inside, the 11 car of Raul Boesel. This year, he is a teammate to Bobby Rahal. Outside of row 2 is Gilles de Ferran, the fastest of the 4 first-time starters. In row 3, that's de Ferran. There's Paul Tracy inside of row 3. The red and white Newman Haas car is distinctly different from his teammates. And Danny Sullivan will start outside row 3, the number 17 car, returning after a year's layoff from the Indy cars. In the 4th row, that 15 car is Christian Fittipaldi, Emerson's nephew, making his IndyCar debut. And Jacques Villeneuve, the number 27 that's so identified with his father, now adorns his car. In row 5, Al Unser Jr. carrying the number 1 of the defending IndyCar champion. And Scott Pruitt returns to IndyCars after sending last year developing the new Firestone tire. In row 6 on the inside is Bobby Rahal. Familiar colors, the 3-time series champions, though it's this year using the Mercedes power plant. The outside of row number 6 is Jimmy Vasser. The yellow rollover bar will help you identify this car and separate it from his teammate Brian Herta. In row 7, number 16 is Stefan Johansson. Robbie Gordon is in car number 5. The major change here is from a Lola chassis to a Renard for 95. In row 8, Andre Ribeiro, a new team, a new driver to IndyCar, and the only Honda engine in the field. That brightly colored car, nice bright yellow front. And Emerson Fittipaldi. Team, the sponsor, and even the number remain the same as in '94. Row 9, Adrian Fernandez and Teo Fabi. The 10th row, Alessandro Zampedri and Brian Herta. In row 11, Christian Danner and Eddie Cheever. Row 12, Eliseo Salazar and Eric Bachelard. 13 is Hiro Matsushita and Dean Hall. And alone in the 14th and final row is Dennis Vitolo. This track here is 1.829 miles around as they gather up behind the PPG pace car and are very close to starting this season. There it is. Keep a close eye on turn 2 and turn 12. We've seen a lot of action there this weekend. Notice, too, that the pits here are curved. Now they begin to slow the field down and bunch it up as they head into the final corner. Pace car is off onto the pit road. Front row nicely aligned. As Michael Andretti takes the green flag, jumps into the lead. Gugelmin to second. Boesel comes up on the inside. De Ferran to the outside.
Perfect start. Now they head down the very fastest part of the track.
All safely through the first turn. Now on to Biscayne Boulevard. up toward 185 miles an hour, on board with Ray Hall. That's Scott Pruitt just ahead as he smokes the tires under braking.
This is the major part right there to chicane. We're going to watch it all day. Braking is what's going to be the answer there. Nobody can give it up. That's where you see the tires smoke a little bit.
Michael Andretti, car number 6, begins to pull away.
He's been absent from the Newman Haas team for 2 years. Now he's back, and he resumes just where he left off in the lead.
That second place car is Mauricio Gugelmin. The yellow car is Pete Ferrand. And that's Paul Tracy. Sitting back, he's managed to get around Raul Boisel. You now ride with Paul Tracy.
Now he's also the teammate to Michael. That's both the Carl Haas teams, and their cars are identical. The paint job's a little bit different.
What Tracy has to avoid is an accident. He's accident prone, and he needs to get off to a good start this year with no crashes.
Michael Andretti leads the first lap. Remember, he did that a year ago at Australia. Went on to win the race, taking the first lap honors away from Nigel Mansell, the pole sitter.
A lot of these guys, like I said in the opening, have had problems during practice. There goes through the chicane again. And a lot of them are being careful now. You see they're getting spread out. Look at it right here, how far the cars are.
Car into the wall. Car brushed the barrier back there. Looks like it might have been the car running in. It's Paul Tracy. Car was running in 4th place.
I guess I spoke too early on that one.
Paul Tracy had 3 accidents in practice. He had to get his season started with the new team, proving that he could get through races without crashing. This is a terrible beginning for Paul Tracy.
So for the moment, the local yellow flag only affecting that section of the race course, as young Paul in his first race for his new team is out quite quickly. So Paul Tracy walks away. The field continues to race on the rest of the circuit, and now full course caution comes out. So they'll put out the pace car and slow the field while they get Paul Tracy's wrecked car off of the edge of the race course. We're under our first caution of the season here in Miami. We're live in Miami. A full course caution underway. An incident started when the 3rd place car of Paul Tracy brushed the wall. He was battling with Gilles de Ferrand. Now, here it is. Watch, he goes to the right side first.
Now, he's going to go down a long straightaway and keep up the speed. He's just getting started now. You look, we'll be going into the chicane. Now, watch, he'll start braking right here. You see him braking. He locks the brakes momentarily, hits the left side, hits the right side. Just absolutely drove right into both of the walls. Of course, the left one threw him into the right one. Here's a view from the holiday. The 3rd car on the frame, the red and white one, right there comes in, boom, hits the left one, that threw him to the right. He really didn't have any steering, Paul, by the time he got to the right side. But that's Paul Tracy's fault. He drove right into the wall. Watch this on the left, kaboom, right there. You can see his head lunge forward. He goes over and hits the right wall. That's the reason we saw both tires on both sides of the cars all bent up.
What caused it, Bobby?
It was the driver's mistake. He just simply tried to straighten out the chicane too straight, and you can't do that.
As you saw from the helicopter view, Danny Sullivan was right behind him and almost collected Paul when he came off of the wall.
Coming into this race, there was every reason to think that Paul would be a good rival for his new teammate, Michael Andretti, and that they'd battle it out all season if Paul could overcome his tendency to make mistakes. It was mistakes that crippled him last year and had conceivably led to his being released from Penske. Now, of course, he continues where he left off with mistakes.
Beautiful view here. That's the road so many have taken to the port of Miami, where the cruise ships are docked. You can see them there in the background. Shows you how truly picturesque this wonderful circuit is. And Ralph Sanchez and his Miami Motorsports group have done a marvelous job putting this event together. Matter of fact, there are a whole series of yachts that are on the shoreline right along the edge of the racetrack here. So we are under full course caution. 4 laps have been scored into the record book. Michael Andretti started on the pole and led the early laps until this, actually the early lap and a half, until this incident involving Paul Tracy.
Now this turn right here, I want to explain this real quick. Those red things that you see on your screen are actually water barriers. And they're made for safety, like if you hit those things, they're full of water and it absorbs the shock an awful lot.
Robbie Gordon started 14th, moved up to 10th in just 1 lap. Let's go to Jacques.
Well, Paul, one of the things we have to look at with a new facility is the fact that what are the fuel windows? And everybody's telling us that the window could start under a full course caution as early as lap 18. If that's the case, you see this OP on these Goodyear tires in Robbie Gordon's pit? He scuffed in the optional tire, that's what it stands for, and was the quickest car in most of the practice session this morning. It's a harder compound than what they qualified on. So what the team has done is they've taken the OP, the optional tires, put them on the wall. They are assuming that this race will have a lot of cautions, and they will stay out as long as they can after they duck in around lap 18 and take on the harder compound tire.
So with the tires here, Bobby, we're going to see a lot of interesting strategy.
Yes, for sure. And another thing you want to remember about that is the cars have to start. Now, you wonder, why did he just go ahead and start with those hard ones? They have to start. The same thing they qualified on. Everybody that I know of went with the soft tires for qualifying, Paul.
The harder tire, of course, is a little slower, but has better life. We see Paul Tracy walking back. I wonder what could be going through his mind now, because obviously he's going to have to explain to his new team, to Carl Haas, to Paul Newman, to his mechanics, that he's gotten off to a bad start.
Sam, that's the fourth wreck or incident that Paul has had this weekend. He's just not getting along with his racetrack too good.
And historically, it's typical of him to start a season in the hole. He started with a 16th last year, and he's big trouble.
You guys are both former drivers. What does that do to the psyche? Here's a guy that has already had a number of crashes, not only this season, but before. What is that going to do to him?
Well, that's bad, and the reason is he just left he was with Penske last year. He wrecked a lot of cars for Roger Penske. There's talk that that's the reason he got released.
Let's go pit side and Gary Gerald.
Paul, keep an eye on the defending series champion, Al Unser Jr. He started back here at near mid-pack. They've reported a possible electrical problem. They thought about bringing him in. Roger Penske just made the decision no. He told him to stay on the track. So Junior's out there. We don't know if they've got gremlins. It's been a frustrating weekend for this team in a bid to open up a chance to defend that championship title.
Well, the pace begins to pick up as they come single file behind the PPG pace car. Michael Andretti leading them around, and we should head back toward a green flag just 2 turns from now. Great view back from Michael's car.
The car right behind Michael, the multicolored car, Mauricio Gugelmin, a former Formula One driver who's really finding his way now in IndyCar ranks.
Gugelmin had trouble with his engine in the morning warm-up, barely got out at all, but obviously whatever that problem was, they got it fixed. But look at DeFerrin right behind him, beginning to close in, battle developing for second place.
Yeah, the yellow Pennzoil car. We haven't seen that car run this good in a long time. And Fabi, who has been with the Pennzoil car for a long time, is in a different car. And who's winning the battle? He's Ferrin is. The first time he's been in IndyCar racing.
In the back of the field, a number of cars now beginning to string past Eric Bachelard, the 19th car back there.
Including Ray Hall, who's running back in 10th in that black and yellow car. Here we see the multicolored car of Christian Fittipaldi, third in line here. New to this kind of racing, but not new to racing. He's Emerson's nephew. He's had some top finishes in Formula One. I think he's going to make a very big impression on IndyCar.
Christian Fittipaldi currently running in 5th place. So strange with a name like Fittipaldi to see the 3 stripes of a rookie on the back of the car, but of course he is here in IndyCar. Let's go to Jacques.
Well, Paul Tracy has walked his way back to the entrance of pit road. What happened, Paul?
It's just disgusted, really. You know, I've had brake troubles all weekend, and just the rear tires locked up, and I couldn't stop. And it was either, you know, go through the tried to cut it through the turn, but just hit the wall. So it's just a bad start to another year, I guess. So
seems like this cloud has been over your head for the last couple of years. How are you going to shake it?
I don't know. Just try to have a good race and have a good race for the Budweiser guys in Kmart in Australia, and you know, we'll move on to the next one.
Good luck, Paul.
And look at the Pennzoil car, the number 8 car. That's DeFerrin as somebody lights up the brakes big time coming into the corner. He's been falling steadily backward after a great start and running up to 3rd place.
Anytime we see a lot of cars going into the chicane together like this, or excuse me, all apart, clear across the track, you're going to see a lot of brakes lighting up, a lot of smoke out of the tires, because there's only single file through there. You cannot get 2 cars through there together.
Well, it's obvious DeFerrin will be heading for the pits at the conclusion of this lap.
He's a powertrain problem. He's obviously got something wrong with his engine, Paul, because he's really lost the speed, but everything is still together. It looks like he's probably handling good.
Let's go to Gerald, Gary Gerald.
In the DeFerrin pit, we understand from the crew that it's most likely a gearbox problem. That's why he's limping along, so it relates to the powertrain, as Bobby suspected. Gearbox problems early on this first street course.
See, Bobby, you're not so old. You were right.
He was.
So at the front of the field, it's Michael Andretti being chased by Mauricio Guzman. You ride with Brian Herta, who sits down in the field right now in 17th position. Michael is our leader. 8 laps are complete. Back live in Miami, the first race of the IndyCar season. Danny Sullivan is now up in 3rd place. He was able to get around Christian Fittipaldi. And I'll tell you what, for a guy that's laid out for a year, it doesn't look like he forgot anything.
Well, he even joined us in the booth last year at Indianapolis, and at that point, I think he could have had a great future in television and any other things outside of the cockpit. But after a year away, he realized how much driving really meant to him, and he had this opportunity with this new team called Pac West. He's come back and made the most of it in very short order.
Let's set the field on the 11th lap. It's Michael Andretti in front, followed by Guzman, then Danny Sullivan, then Christian Fittipaldi, Jacques Villeneuve, Raul Boisel, Al Unser Jr. up to 7th finally, then Scott Pruitt, Bobby Rahal, and Robbie Gordon rounds out the top 10. Oh, and we've got a car to the wall, and this is Brian Herta.
Herta has not had a good weekend. He had a crash on Friday after he had problems with his engine in the first session. And now, of course, he's put it in the wall again. The significant thing here, of course, Brian has very little experience, really, in Indy cars. He drove for A.J. Foyt last year up until his big accident in Toronto, where he was hurt. This is his first race after that. It's only his 6th start in Indy cars.
That's a turn where there's been an awful lot of problems, Sam, through the practice and through qualifications. That's turn 12. We've had more wrecks there than probably all the others total together.
That's where Tracy had 4
tires.
wrecks.
Yes, that's Tracy had 4 there, and the tires really saved Brian Herta. And you can see he's running without any problem. The tires really absorb the shock of the cars tremendously.
In fact, Paul Tracy told me during practice that a lot of sand tends to get up on that turn 12 position. Let's go pit side, Gary.
Jim Hall is here and is working with his crew. Can you tell us about this problem hopping out of gear, Jim?
Yeah, I can't tell you why. We know that it's got some kind of a gear selection problem. We're trying to figure out what it is right now. Kind of disappointing for us, but anyway, that's the problem, I think.
They've had a terrific weekend right up until these opening laps. It's a shame.
Well, you can see that despite his misfortune, Brian Herta was able to get back into the action, though now he runs 22nd.
Just to tell everybody about the transmissions just a little bit, they're all sequential shift transmissions. They only, like if they're in first, they just keep pulling it back 1 notch, go to second, next notch is third, next notch is fourth, and on up to 6th speed. So when they downshift, they have to go through each one. Or to the motorcycle racers, it's just like, or motorcycle riders, it's like a motorcycle transmission.
Well, this is the situation that got Herta in trouble and dropped him down through the field.
As you can see, coming out of the right-hand turn, he'll be going in to turn 12. Watch here, this is where they all have the problem. There he is. What happens is he brakes, his rear starts locking up, it just starts pushing, and the only way you can go is right into the tires. A lot of the guys have had problems there, and honestly, we can't figure out why.
And I think I said that he was into the tire barrier or the wall. Looks like he didn't really touch it at all.
Here's Al Unser Jr. in the pit lane. Whether this is an early pit stop or trouble, who knows? He's been running 7th.
Way too early, unless they've got a strategy nobody's seen before.
Now he's coming in too slow. Everything, he's got problems. There comes the hood off right now.
This is the defending champion. And of course, you know that number 1, the number worn by the defending champion, has been an unlucky number historically through the years. In the last 23 years, the car that started the season with number 1 on it has only managed to be champion twice.
Let's go pit side, Gary.
Well, it is that electrical gremlin that they had a report on earlier, and they've got all the wiring harness out on the left side, the right side of the cockpit, replacing some of the electronics. They're hoping that that will cure it. But boy, tremendous disappointment for the man who dominated so much of '94 with his 8 wins, Paul.
Well, Gary, we've seen a number of electrical problems throughout the practice and qualification. Is heat maybe a factor?
I have not heard anybody express that exact concern, Paul. I don't think it's that abnormally hot, and of course they anticipated it would be close to 80 degrees today. So we don't believe that's to be the case, but then again with electronics, who knows for sure.
Exactly.
I think what we're going to find on that, Paul, is heat is not given a problem. It may be hurting a few things, but it's the first race of the season, and it's the first time the cars have ever been pushed really hard under race conditions for anybody here.
A spectator this year, Mario Andretti, also the Grand Marshal at this event, watching his son start from the pole and lead the race. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC station. talk about a team that has come of age. Those two cars are the Pac West team. They run second and third. The 18 car of Bugelman, followed by Danny Sullivan in the 17 car. They're definitely the group to watch this year. They run second and third behind Michael right now.
They had such a terrible year last year too, Paul. You know, and look at them. They're both real pretty red, white, and blue cars. They've got to really be a happy team.
And they're going to give a black flag to Al Unser Jr. He broke the pit speed limit when he came in. Hit 88 miles an hour. They only allow 85 here. Gary Gerald?
Paul, he just served the black flag penalty with a stop and go. It was an alternator control box that was fluctuating, and so they made the change. They elected to bring him in and make the change rather than risk having the car die on course and then be stranded for the rest of the afternoon. Also, Emerson Fittipaldi, Unser's teammate, has no radio contact with his pit.
Behind the first three cars, here comes Al Unser Jr. after making his stop, and here is the fight on the circuit. At 15 cars, Christian Fittipaldi, and chasing him is Jacques Villeneuve. It's a battle for fourth place.
Gary, you mentioned Emerson's problem with the radio. He's way back in 13th position. A very bleak day for the Penske team. Al, of course, started badly last year in Surface Paradise and came on speedily and won the championship. But the feeling this year is things are going to be different for Penske. A much tougher year ahead for them.
Well, you know, Sam, they've been testing all winter, and of course the rumor mills get wild, but they say that they've had problems with the car. Now, the car's not changed much from last year, the Penske car. Minor changes to it from what we read and hear about. But for some reason, they've lost what they had last year. Now, knowing Roger Penske, they won't do this much longer. He'll just change the last year's setup and go with that.
So Christian Fittipaldi and Jacques Villeneuve continue their battle. Right behind them is Boycell, then Scott Pruitt, then Ray Hall. As we look further back in the field, here comes Bobby Ray Hall. Honda power last year, Mercedes power this year. We're just going to climb on board. Bobby and Sam, relax. Enjoy this. And Christian Fittipaldi comes suddenly off of that fight and very quickly into the pit. This is on lap 19. They had indicated that the earliest window might be as early. Oh, look at that. Over one of the tires. Problem with the new team, Bobby?
Yes, absolutely problem with the new team. New team, new driver. Takes a while to sort things out. First race is always looks like a circus.
No obvious damage to the car. Shouldn't be a problem with it as Christian Fittipaldi comes out.
No, but in the driver's mind, now watching as it happens again, there are some under-body aerodynamic pieces there that could have been damaged that we can't see yet. And the driver always has to wonder, did I hurt the suspension? Can I trust the car after this? Car looks good,
there's really no damage to that, Sam. Well, they'll take a lot more than that. The problem is that could have really been bad. I mean, the pit guys are the guys, the tire changes that made the mistake because they had the front tire tucked right into the rear there.
Coming back up on Bobby Ray Hall, who is closing in on Raul Boycell.
Boycell, of course, is now Ray Hall's teammate. Boycell drove last year for Simon, did a really good job, and then jumped ship, taking his sponsor, Duracell, the battery company, and now he's with Ray Hall. So Boycell is leading his boss.
They're going to show a black flag to Christian Fittipaldi for running over that tire. I don't think he ever saw it, but nevertheless, it was still there. Jack?
Well, Paul, you've got the stop and go. The reason why he had to come in is he had a tire going down. They were going to try and stretch the Fittipaldi side of things. They were going to try and stretch their pit stop to the next yellow flag. So unexpectedly, he found himself on pit road, and as Bobby Unser and you both said, a new team, and they kind of tripped over each other.
It kind of startled him, I think, to see him in that fast. Bobby Ray Hall now right up behind sixth place Raul Boycell. Bobby Gordon just behind him there.
Jack, that incident dropped Fittipaldi from 4th back to 12th now.
Well, you know, Sam, that isn't quite so bad. He made his pit stop. He does have fuel. What's going to really hurt him is another stop and go under the green. That's really going to hurt. That's like double jeopardy. Now, it'll really be bad if all the other guys happen to get a yellow for their pit stop.
Now, Boycell out-qualified Ray Hall by several places. Obviously, Ray Hall's setup in the race is better. Here's Eddie Cheever into the tire barriers in A.J. Foyt's car.
Now you
Again,
can notice
turn
he's
12,
going,
Bobby.
yeah, turn 12, and you notice he's going backwards. Now he didn't hit anything hard from what it looks like. Looks like he's just barely there. You can even see the slide marks on his front tire there. The problem is they all seem to have problems here, and even now. I'll bet the drivers can't tell you why. It just happens.
There is a little ripply quality to the pavement as
Now
you come in.
what happens there, and I noticed this now, during the practice session, I stayed out there in that turn to see what the cars were doing, and that's exactly what happened to this one. Eddie Cheever, they go into the turn a little bit wide, the rear tire's locked up, and it changes direction just like his did.
And Eddie managed to stall the car. That's the problem.
Yellow flag only in that area of the course. Michael Andretti, the leader of the race, now by 10 seconds over Mauricio Guzman and Danny Sullivan, the PacWest teammate. Beautiful blue skies overhead, temperatures in the 80s. Barron is back into the pits, and so is Al Unser Jr. with 21 laps complete. Michael Andretti so far is having a great day. Back live at Toyota presents the Grand Prix of Miami, and this just happened, bringing out a full course yellow. The pace car will come out. That's Andre Ribeiro, and he got together with Adrian Fernandez. They're both sitting by the edge of the course. Here it is. Just came down on top of him.
Well, Ribeiro came right down on Fernandez. That was not Adrian's fault. He's in the Gallus car. That one right there, the Ducati car on the Rick Gallus out of Albuquerque. Wasn't allowed his drive forward. You can see Ribeiro just came right down on him. There was nothing he could do. It was barely a minor touch, but nonetheless, it was in the turn.
All right, let's go pit side. Jackaroo.
Well, an uneventful first stop for Michael Andretti. As he came in, they took on 4 tires. They're back out with a full load of fuel. The same cannot be said, however, for Raul Boesel. Boesel got into it with another driver just before the display of the caution, and he actually had to come back in 1 lap too early. Robbie Gordon is in. He's taking on those harder tires. Let's check in with Gary Gerald.
More problems for Team Penske. This is Emerson Fittipaldi on the sidelines now. Engine shut down. Changing electronics. I think they're changing the engine control module, the so-called black box. It's more electronics. Al Unser Jr. had been in, was out, came back in. It was a battery that went down and caused the engine to misfire. That's why he was in the second time. So the defending championship team struggling on the streets of Miami, Paul.
Well, the second full course yellow of the day. All the teams decide a good time to make a pit stop.
Good time to get carburetors back on the cars. I think, Paul, get rid of that electronics.
What was that, Sam? Looked like they were really pouring a lot of water through that turbocharger. And we got a little bit of a turbocharger fire on the back of Eddie Cheever's car there. You see it burning on the left side. They should be able to put that out fairly quickly. Watching live, Raul Boesel, as he leads the group around. Everybody made pit stops. And we are getting ready to come back off of this second full course caution of the day as you ride with Robbie Gordon. We're ready to go back green. 14 cars on the lead lap. Jen Swintal, the IndyCar starter, has the green flag in his hand as he peers up toward that 13th and final turn. And here they come. And there's the green. Riding with Michael Andretti. Looks like he just brushed the wall a little bit.
That's pretty easy to do at this racetrack.
Boy, but keep an eye on the car.
Looks like it's all right so far, Paul.
Concrete canyons everywhere. Guzman stays in close pursuit of Andretti.
This track reminds me an awful lot of the Long Beach racetrack. You know, concrete walls on both sides. The guys do rub them occasionally. It doesn't hurt the car unless you hit them kind of hard.
Ooh.
There's somebody hit it really hard.
The wall.
Bachelard, looks like. Eric Bachelard.
Dennis Vitolo.
Dennis Vitolo.
His first ride since the Indy 500 last year. Pretty severe damage to the nose. They could change that and get it back to the pit area.
Remember,
yellow only in that area right now. Let me just give you the order, get everybody reset here, though. Michael Andretti leads it, followed by Guzman. Jacques Villeneuve, he moved up into third place. Danny Sullivan is fourth, and Scott Pruitt is fifth.
Now, you look at the front of that nose right there, and that'll show you how far safety has come from just, say, 3 to 5 years ago. He hit that wall pretty hard, Paul, and he's driving back in. Direct hit to the wall. Now that shows the engineers and the kart guys have done magic.
We are now going full course yellow. Third one of the day. This race slowing down, 28 laps complete, 90 the scheduled distance. This is Michael's incident. Look at him get trapped down on the inside and brush the wall. The real question is, did he brush it or did he just kick up a bunch of sand? This is on board with Michael. Watch it, Robbie.
Now what happens is he's trying to pass on the inside, so kind of keep that in mind as we watch this. Gets kind of close. Yes, he did. That's not dirt. That's a hit.
No, that's a full.
But remember,
hit.
if it doesn't break that wheel, the wheel is magnesium and they're very brittle if they're going to break. If it doesn't break that wheel, he didn't hit it hard enough to hurt anything, and it doesn't look like there's going to be a problem.
It doesn't change the suspension settings.
Well, it could, but he didn't really hit it hard enough in the front or the rear of the tire. It was kind of like a direct hit, and then it doesn't bend anything.
You see a little wave as he went by his pits? Let's go pit side, Jackaroo.
Well, Paul, trying to stay on top of every possibility, the Newman Haas team was ready for Michael Andretti to come in and take on new tires. What happened was he radioed in initially that he thought after that hit that the tire was beginning to go down. They're back behind the pace car. You can notice that he tries to wheel the car back and forth a little bit to see what the situation is. They're just going to stand by down here. It's going to be Michael's call whether he comes in or stays out.
Wow, did you see that? It looked like rush hour on I-95 here as the pace car came out. Michael Andretti had to jump on the brakes to make sure that he stayed behind it and the car ahead of him.
Boiselle is right ahead of him. He's the guy that almost hit the pace car. Look at all the smoke right there. That's Boiselle catching the pace car. Didn't know it was there. Probably running 170 miles an hour. Now the pace car is going to wave him by because he's really down a lap. It's going to be a big gain for Boiselle right there.
Well, the officials have been, and rightly so, adamant about enforcing these blend rules and keeping the cars in order. So they help keep fairness into the event. And there could be some pretty severe penalties if you get around that car. Gilles de Ferran's car has been taken into the paddock area. It's out of the race. And Gary Gerald has an update on Eddie Cheever.
Well, Eddie Cheever has been in the pits on 2 occasions. He had damage up on the front wing, Paul, and they had what resulted in him shearing off a brake rotor. So he has no front brakes. They've tried to make some repairs. He has rear brakes. He is now back out on the circuit. Meanwhile, in the adjacent pit, Adrian Fernandez was involved in that earlier bumping incident, had suspension damage on the left front side. The crew has replaced all of that. He's now back on the circuit.
If Michael Andretti makes a pit stop, the leader will be Mauricio Gugelmin, whose best finish last year was a 5th at Vancouver. So suddenly we're going to see a man unaccustomed to being right at the very front, catapulted into a commanding position. And he is driving for a team that has not tasted the lead either, Pac West.
Sam, another guy that's out of the race right now is Emerson Fittipaldi. He's had apparently problems that couldn't be fixed, and they pushed his into the inside now.
You know, Toyota has been experimenting with a motor design for the Indy cars. We wondered at this race just how close they were to debuting the new engine.
The death to be a part of the potentially as an engine supplier of the PPG IndyCar World Series. We're going to be doing a lot of testing this year with Dan Gurney's All-American Racers, with a Toyota engine, with Juan Fangio and PJ Jones doing the driving chores. And if things go well, hopefully we'll be able to make a debut towards the end of this season. If not, we certainly plan to be here at the Grand Prix of Miami next March. So we're tickled to death, and we're looking forward to a lot of excitement.
30 laps complete, 90 scheduled. First full course, our third full course caution of the day. Michael Andretti is still the leader. Mauricio Gugelmin second. Jacques Villeneuve has moved from 8th up to 3rd place. In 4th place is Danny Sullivan. 5th is Scott Pruitt. 6th is Bobby Rahal. And Robbie Gordon, who started in 14th, is now 7th.
Well, of course, you hear about Toyota possibly coming back with Dan Gurney as the team leader. Bobby, you drove for Dan Gurney. He built the Eagle cars with which you were so successful. It would be great to have him back in this series.
Well, not only that, Sam, there's just going to be another new Eagle. Now, I think this is the neatest part about the whole Toyota thing is Dan Gurney and Toyota building their own thing. So Dan Gurney will be back in the chassis building business. I just talked to Kathy Nealon last night. It's almost done.
Here we go, green once again.
So now we're going to find out what condition Michael Andretti's car is in. If he's able to continue out front, we'll know it's probably okay.
That predominantly green and yellow car there is Salazar, with Jacques Villeneuve coming up behind him.
Salazar is Dick Simon's new driver, 40 years old, veteran of IMSA competition. You see the car on the right there, just going through the turn.
And there is the true battle for position. Sullivan just behind Villeneuve, and then Pruitt, and this car Ray Hall, and Gordon just behind him.
Pruitt is driving a terrific race, currently in 5th place on the new Firestone tires. He's been out for a year, and he's come back hot.
Sullivan looks for room outside. Pruitt closes in. Great fight here.
Sullivan's last win was back in 1993 in Detroit. And out of the business, so to speak, since then. This team, it seems like a long shot, really. May not be at all. It may be one of the best teams in the business right now.
You know, one of the neat things when you see a group that's as tight as that group was, Sam and Paul, you know that the drivers not only have to look ahead up, but they're watching both of their mirrors because somebody's trying to get around them on both sides.
Big name out of the race. Here's Gary Gerald.
Well, that big name is Emerson Fittipaldi. Emma, I know you didn't have radio. Then there were problems. Did it relate to electronics?
Yeah, must be. I mean, I started no radio, and then the engine started misfire, and then just nearly stopped, and we changed all the systems, the electrical system. It's still misfired the engine. There's no way even to get out of the pit. I'm very disappointed, but beginning of the season, we have the whole season ahead of us, and we should be much stronger in Australia.
Is there a concern that your teammate is having the same problems in Alan Jr.'s car?
It looks like, I mean, he already, but his car seems to be running okay now, and we're just looking. I'm looking for Australia for the championship now. That's Miami's going now.
Only a couple of weeks away, and a tough day for a man who just lives 10 minutes away by boat. Thanks, Emma.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, definitely a hometown event for Emerson Fittipaldi. Alan Jr. is 21st right now, 5 laps behind the race. And everybody is bottled up right now behind Salazar as Jacques Villeneuve looks for any room that he can find. And the rest of the group is looking for whatever hole gets left open.
Well, this is going to make some really good racing because they're packed in tight. And every time they get down to the sharp corners or the tight corners, well, they're trying both sides. Any hole that they can find to do some passing.
Salazar, as I said, is 40 years old. He won 3 IMSA races last year. He's a very determined man. He's not going to just wave people by. He knows he can win races, even if he hasn't yet proven he can win IndyCar races.
So Villeneuve is past him. Now Sullivan moves to the inside. So does Pruitt, so does Ray Hall, so does Robbie Gordon. Alan Jr. is there too, though remember he's 5 laps off the pace.
You know,
on board with Gordon.
With Robbie Gordon right there, talking about Scott Pruitt, the red and white car when you see it, with Firestone across the back. That's Pat Patrick's car. Pat Patrick, who helped start CART, one of the originators of it. It's back into motor racing, and I think all of us, we're glad to see Patrick back.
Oh, and carrying his traditional number 20, the car that he's won Indy with and championships with. Yes, it is nice to see Pat back, and nice to see Firestone back as well. As suggested, a whole new playing field for strategy available in the tires now.
You know, Paul, nobody really thought, including myself, that Firestone would be so competitive in the first race. And already you can see Scott Pruitt. He's giving nothing up on the tires.
So in 7th place, this car, Robbie Gordon. Michael Andretti is still the leader, followed by Mauricio Gugelmin. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC station. Happened as Alessandro Zampedri climbs out of his car. It seems like he's been struggling with the handling on this car most of the day, and he just jumped it right into the tire barriers, not very far from the edge of the water. So Zampedri will bring out now the 4th full course yellow of the day. And ABC, of course, has got its racing season underway now. Next week it'll be the Purelator 500 live next Sunday. And then immediately thereafter, the International Race of Champions begins its 4-round series. So full course yellow once again. That familiar number 6 out in front with Michael Andretti at the wheel and Alessandro Zampedri. He walks back to the pits, his day already complete.
Not very often that I can remember that we've ever seen a car get up on top of the tires. Because the cars are so low, they usually get underneath the tires, get the tires over them. he got his completely up on top. I'll bet he was wondering about that one.
He lives in Monaco. You know, Bobby, you made the point earlier, the rivalry between the tire companies. We have a sensational rivalry among the engine suppliers and the chassis manufacturers as well, so it's a wonderful season this way. Nobody seems to have the same combination of car. It's not a cookie cutter series at all.
Another car up on the tires there. And as suggested earlier, this has been a whole festive weekend. Let's take a look at some of the sights and sounds of Festival Miami. Back live in Miami, 15 laps of yellow, full course yellow thus far in the race. This is our 4th yellow of the day, but it does give us a chance to go down to the pits and see somebody we haven't seen in a long time, Gary Gerald.
Well, indeed, Pat Patrick has had national championship IndyCar drivers in the past. He's been away from the sport all last year testing, and Pat, I know the byword has been cautious optimism, and it looks like it's all starting to pay off because this team's doing a heck of a job in this opening event.
Jerry, we're very happy. The tires are working very well. The car is performing extremely well, and Scott's doing an excellent job. We're very pleased overall.
You had those fingers crossed. Are they still crossed? We're checking down here. Yeah, they are. They're still crossed, Paul. Pat, you put in about 12,000 miles of testing in the last year. Have you ever undertaken such an extensive program?
No, I didn't. As you know, I got on the Alfa Romeo program, and it didn't work for various reasons. But when Firestone and Patrick got together, we made an arrangement right up front that we had to do a tremendous amount of testing to be sure the tire worked. And obviously it's working. We think we just turned the fastest lap of the race. You may have Paul and Bobby check that, but I think that's correct.
Well, this guy Scott Pruitt can handle a race car, can't he?
Yes, he can. Thank you.
Congratulations. Keep it going, Pat.
Thank you.
Well, there he is. He currently runs in 6th place. Scott Pruitt out on the circuit. Firestone Tires, Patrick Racing back. Under full course yellow, Michael Andretti's led from the start. We're ready to go back to racing as we're live from Miami. And look at this. Here are the leaders of the race. After this yellow, they're all lined up together. Michael Andretti turns toward the green flag. Jim Swintal gives it away, and we're back racing. Andretti followed by Guzman, followed by Villeneuve.
First and second are exactly as they started. Michael Andretti was on the inside of the front row, Guzman on the outside, but Villeneuve has come way up the grid and is having a fine performance.
Then Sullivan, then Pruitt, there they are. Bobby Rahal and Robbie Gordon closing in as well.
You know, it's interesting to think last year, Michael Andretti and Guzman on the same team last year, not the same team this year, running first now, or run first and second. Guzman last year, ironically, was ahead of Michael most of the times in the races.
Yeah, they were bitter rivals actually last year, weren't they, Bobby, even though they drove for the same team. However, at the end of the year, it was Michael Andretti who had 2 wins and Guzman did not.
Michael has really looked good today, Sam. He's been in the right place at the right times. He's not abusing his car. He did rub the wall one time. That was just trying to pass, though.
In 8th place, just behind Robbie Gordon. Oh, look at Rahal. Boy, he almost lost it there. Just behind Robbie Gordon is Jimmy Vasser, who's now in the top 10. Then Stefan Johansson and Christian Fittipaldi rounds out the top 10.
That shows you the track is getting just a little bit slippery. Remember, the more rubber you put on the track, the more slippery it gets. There's no heat problems here.
Is that just a little bit or is it a little bit?
Well, a little bit. I mean, it's quite a bit right now.
Well, Bobby, your point at the beginning of the show about how parts of the track are cement, parts of it are pavement, is very tricky for the drivers to go from one part to another. When the sun starts to get a little low in the sky, visibility problems happen too. Christian Fittipaldi, a terrific pass down on the inside.
So Christian Fittipaldi is his way up. He's in the top 10.
Christian Fittipaldi is one of the fast drivers on the track right now, you guys, because after all, remember, he had the black flag incident, he had the problem in the pits. He's really moving that car. I think we're going to see him move up.
Christian made that move around Stefan Johansson, moved up into 9th place.
He's got Vasser right ahead of him now. That would be 8th place. And then Robbie Gordon just in that blue car. There's Gordon just disappearing at the bottom of the screen. So it'll be interesting. I think Fittipaldi is going to pick off 2 fairly big names, 2 American drivers here in the next couple of laps.
He's charging at the back end of Jimmy Vasser, who has had a great weekend here. New team for Jimmy, driving for Chip Ganassi. But now
Robbie
Christian
Gordon,
worrying him to death.
you see Robbie Gordon there going by first of that group. He's going to be on the Home Improvement Show with Tim Allen, March 28th. You might want to watch for that.
So Christian Fittipaldi moving up. Stefan Johansson's not really happy with the pass that was made. I mean, it was a good pass, but I think he wants to get right back around it.
Boy, when Christian pulled out there, was going to pass going into the chicane, I thought, wow, I've got to see that if he goes through with it.
Christian Fittipaldi at the back of Jimmy Vasser.
Christian said, well, he was going to get a lot of tips from his nephew, Emo, but so far, he's done much better this weekend than Emo has.
The other way around, Sam. He's the nephew. Emo's the uncle.
His uncle, sorry, exactly. And I do think that when they get out to Phoenix, Uncle Emo is going to be very helpful to his young nephew.
We've got to help Sam occasionally, don't we?
I don't know about the word helpful. I think he may show him a thing or two.
Yeah.
Watching this ongoing battle, revolving around Robbie Gordon, Jim Vasser, Christian Fittipaldi.
And keep in mind also, Robbie Gordon has the hard tires on his car, the hard Goodyear. Goodyear has two compounds here. A soft compound they used for qualifying and a harder compound for the race. Sometimes, even though it's harder, it's still a faster tire.
I love this angle. This is looking back from under the rear wing on Robbie Gordon's car. See Fittipaldi peek out there as they came through the chicane. Let Pruitt know he was there.
In the straightaways, the cars are not really running faster than the ones behind like you see there. It's just that you're going faster and they separate more, but they gather back up in the sharp turns.
That's Vasser just behind, then Fittipaldi.
Vasser, of course, has changed teams. He's now with the Ganassi team. He was with Jim Hayhoe's team last year. Doing a good job.
I think this shot really shows that accordion effect that happens into a corner. When the lead car gets under brakes, it looks like everybody's going to pull in and pass him. Then the lead car is first back to acceleration, and it evens back out.
True, it's somewhat...
Oh!
Wow.
Jimmy Vasser just jumps to the inside all of a sudden on Robbie Gordon and gets him.
Best pass we've seen today. I mean, I know Robbie Gordon didn't expect that one.
And behind there, Christian Fittipaldi rips by Gordon as well.
Now you've got to ask yourself, is there something wrong? There's Johansson closing in on Gordon.
No, I think it's just the harder tires.
I don't think there's anything wrong. I think it's just a matter of, like, sometimes guys get caught a little bit lackadaisical. You call it going to sleep a little bit.
No, because look, once Vasser got around Gordon, he's really started to pull away. Here comes Johansson trying on Robbie Gordon's back end.
No, I think that's just the difference between the softer compound tires and the harder compound tires that Gordon is wearing.
And that's more of some of the good stuff that we are going to see all season long with the two tire manufacturers being in this. Let's go to Jacques.
Well, Paul, throw the tire controversy right out the window. That's not the problem with Robbie Gordon. How'd you like to be in the cockpit of a car with the throttle sticking? That's what Robbie Gordon's involved with now in the Cummins Valvoline Special. He says every time he just nails it on the gas, all of a sudden it sticks and stays hung up.
No problem at all. We saw him pull to the side. He came off a little earlier. There's Stefan Johansson. And obviously, whatever problem he has, is terminal.
Yeah, that's a 94 Penske car. There's no accidents or anything like that we can see. It's just probably an engine or transmission problem.
Well, I caught a glimpse of him slowing down just a few moments ago while Jack was speaking. Here we'll get a look at it.
He had been running in 10th place. Stefan, of course, the Swedish driver with the background in Formula One, drove for Ferrari.
That's also a 94 Penske car. It makes one wonder right there the problem happened. Last year at Penske cars, you wonder whether they got all the stuff that little Al had last year on that car, don't you?
Well, we're just a little over halfway here. Johansson out of the race, Jackaroo.
Well, Paul, Bobby Unser still hasn't lost it. He surmised that it was a transmission. That's exactly what Stevie Johnson radioed in to Tony Bettenhausen. He says the transmission's gone away.
Stevie Johnson, our nickname from Stefan Johansson. There are other nicknames. We won't use them here, right, Bobby?
One good race driver, too. I really respect and admire that guy. He's really taken under the American scene, too.
Back to the leader of the race. We haven't seen much of him, and that's because he has been so powerful here at the front of the field. Michael Andretti, now 4 seconds out in front of second place Mauricio Guzman. There comes Guzman off the corner. But look, he's being challenged by Jacques Villeneuve right now. And waiting in the wings is Danny Sullivan and Scott Pruitt.
Villeneuve, remember, in the blue and white car, was a rookie last year, but he won at Elkhart Lake. He had a brilliant pass there near the end of the race that secured that win for him. And today, he is one of the fastest cars on the track, probably second fastest compared to Michael Andretti.
You know, we're over halfway into the race, and these guys have not let up on this battle right here the entire distance. So the price of racing is going to get pretty rough as we get near the end here.
So there's Mauricio Gugelmin. Jacques just behind him. We could be due for stops any time now. Michael Andretti has gone 23 laps since his last pit stop, and several of the crews have started to lay out the equipment for the second and what should be the final pit stop of the day. And Michael peels off and heads into the pits. He's in the very first pit, Jacques.
And Paul, all he was yelling on the radio as he came in is right front, right front. They seem to think that maybe he had a right front go down, so they elected not to push the window any further than they had to. You're right, this should be the final stop for your leader. But boy, talk about living under, now he's killed the engine. The engine is dead, Paul.
Oh, they've got a broken control arm on the front of the car. On the right front of the car, there's a broken control arm. Tom, reach down and pick it up.
That's the side of the car, of course, that hit the wall earlier, so it makes you wonder if perhaps this wasn't something destined to happen.
Of course, it's so easy to touch a concrete wall around here. This is really, really sad. Michael, at least from our vantage point, has done such a good job today and really controlled this race entirely.
Yeah, there's the arm that's broken. That's it. The day is done for Michael. They may get him back in the race, but not in the lead. Mauricio Gugelmin's now the leader.
This is very bad luck for Michael, but on the other hand, it's very good luck that this didn't break in a way that put him in the wall out there on the track.
Exactly.
Yes, you're absolutely right there, Sam.
So for the first time in his IndyCar career, Mauricio Gugelmin is the leader of the race. And there he is. Second place now is Villeneuve. Third is Sullivan. Pruitt is fourth. Bobby Rahal is fifth.
And the Pac West team is now 1 and 3, a new team.
So now, with 25 or 50 laps complete, we are moving up with a brand new leader in IndyCar racing in the person of Mauricio Gugelmin. And we talked about new faces. They are very definitely at the front of the field right now.
You know, this is really working itself up to be a good race. There's Gugelmin right there, Villeneuve right behind him, and a whole bunch right behind them.
Certainly the international flavor is being borne out.
Gugelmin, the Pac West team. Jacques Villeneuve with one win in his career so far, that at Road America last year, with a promise of many more to come.
We're not going to sell Danny Sullivan shy. You know, he's in third place. Danny is racing. He's really become a race driver right now.
So this is what put Michael Andretti on the restart up against the wall and broke the suspension members. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Back live in Miami as Bobby Rahal continues his pursuit of Scott Pruitt and Danny Sullivan in a continuing fight for third place. Interesting new bulletin came out this morning from IndyCar as we take a look at the running order after 52 laps. The most interesting part is that determines the length of the race. It is scheduled for 90 laps, or, according to, oh no, car into the wall, and trying to look and see what the damage may be to the front of that.
That's Ribeiro. Yeah, car number 31, Ribeiro. It's really hard to see it when he's all in the tires like that.
He's okay, but I think that car's probably done. Remember, he was in an incident earlier.
Yeah,
let's get back to this 6D.5. The race can end at the completion of 90 laps or at 2 hours. And we're going to cut very, very close to that. Very close to that. So Jacques Arute and Gary Gerald, starting with Jack, does that affect strategy now?
Well, Paul, taking a look at my end of the pits down with Robbie Gordon and Raul Boisel and Christian Fittipaldi, and most importantly, the Rahal Hogan team of Bobby Rahal, they all say that they have adjusted their strategy, and this full course yellow that we have just gone onto plays right into their hands. Most teams are going to elect to come in now for what should be their final stop, assuming that this race will go 2 hours instead of the advertised distance. Now, if all of a sudden the race speed picks up, these drivers could have to make a third stop.
Let's go down further in the pits to Gary Gerald.
and waiting anxiously for his drivers who are first and third, Bruce McCaw. Now, Bruce, we're talking about the possibility of this becoming a timed race. Is that entering into your strategy now?
Well, that's not our strategy yet. We're just running to stay out in front.
You've got right now running first and third. You've got Mauricio in here in the pits getting serviced right now. You've got to be terribly proud and excited about what this team is doing. He's watching them closely. You've got to be terribly proud and excited about what's going on.
Our team, the Pac West team, has done a fantastic job all winter getting ready for this race. We've had a year now to get organized, and we're just thrilled. I mean, this.
Did you think you could be up running first and third in your realistic dreams?
No.
All right, that says
the guys have worked hard. Nerda Mauricio's done a fantastic job, and we're thrilled to have him as part of the team. And Danny, we're great to see Danny back in the series. He's done a wonderful job for us.
Keep it going. Let's go back to Jack.
Well, Gary, 1 year ago in Surfers Paradise, Michael Andretti came back to IndyCar racing and was victorious, and it looked as if you were going to repeat the opening race here today. What happened out there to break the right front that way?
I think it was the first restart, and I was behind Christian Fittipaldi, and I went to pass him in turn one, and I thought he saw me, and he didn't, and we hit, and I hit the wall, and I guess it bent it because I ran the rest of the time. It was okay, and then it just finally broke.
When you're running out there and you've had a situation like that, do you think about it, or do you put it out of your mind until it totally broke?
I thought about it for about 10 laps, thinking, I hope nothing's wrong, and then after the 10 laps, I sort of figured, well, it must be okay, but obviously it wasn't. It's really disappointing.
But back to the Gold Coast, back to the place where you were victorious last year. You getting excited to go across the pond?
Well, I feel really good about this year. The car was flawless. I mean, we were running the second lap quicker than anybody, and hopefully that's a sign of things to come this year.
Paul?
Of course, Jack, you're referring to the race in Australia at Surfers Paradise in 2 weeks, and we will have coverage of that race too right here on ABC Sports. All of the yachts in the center of the track, a couple of $1 million floating there, and there are the cruise ships. Some of these yachts would make those cruise ship captains envious of what they have on board. Great, beautiful day here in Miami. You know, Ralph Sanchez, who puts this race together, has also been working on an entire new race course over at Homestead, not all that far from here. That track has been under construction for over a year now, and there's the very good real possibility that that will be open as early as July. And then it will start hosting races. Now the Indy cars, Bobby, will they go to Homestead? There's what it looks like under construction.
Yes, and it's a state-of-the-art track. Ralph told me this morning he's going to spend approximately $70 million on this racetrack, which is unheard of. But most importantly, no matter what happens there, whether it gets delayed or whatever, he's got 2 years right here under contract with the city of Miami. So no matter what, we're going to have super good IndyCar racing here in Miami for a long time.
Homestead is a really great layout. It's patterned after Indy with the 4 distinct turns, but it's only 1.5 miles long. So it's kind of a combination of a mile track and Indy. It should be a great racing track.
Well, now under this full course yellow to show you how the pit crews can make a difference. When they came back out after that stop, Jacques Villeneuve's crew gained him 2 positions in the pits, and he comes out as the leader of the race. Gugelman second, Ray Hall third, Scott Pruitt fourth, and Danny Sullivan fifth. Good job by that team.
The old adage, first in, first out. If you look at that right away, Villeneuve, he's with a tried and proven team, guys that really know what they're doing. Whereas Gugelman, Pac West, not knocking the team. They're certainly running good today, but they don't have as much experience.
You know, as we say all the different drivers' names, realize that there are drivers here in this race from 11 different countries, 5 from Brazil.
Scott Pruitt also had a good stop. He went in 7th place and came out in 4th. 56 laps complete. We're under yellow. Back live in Miami in the shadow of the cruise ships as they prepare their Sunday sail. We're preparing to have a terrific battle. These cars, led by the 27 car of Jacques Villeneuve, the rest of that group have all been very, very close together. There's young Jack down with his father, Gilles, the late and great Gilles Villeneuve, and his sister. Some family snapshots of him very young. I wonder what Dad would think of him today. He would certainly be very proud. And Jack, by the way, seems to be very much aware of the great heritage that he follows. In second place is Gugelmin, then Bobby Ray Hall, then Scott Pruitt, then Danny Sullivan.
Gilles Villeneuve, Jacques' dad, was known for what's called his car handling ability. He can throw a car around even in the narrow confines of a street circuit like this and still manage to keep from hitting anything. Jacques definitely has that car handling ability. Plus, he's only 23. He has tremendous maturity, and with Barry Green as his crew chief, a terrific brain in the pits to guide the whole effort. And you need a package like that to be good.
What you saw him doing right there was trying to scrub the rubber off of his tires. I hate to interrupt with you, Paul. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Bobby, I was watching him in the paddock the other day, and he was very warm with the crowd. Of course, the paddock wide open, you know, you can get a ticket in there. Full of race fans. They were having a great time, and he spent a lot of time at the fence with them. Now, let's take a look at this, because it's going to compress up and then go green. Remember, these cars at the front of the field have been very closely matched throughout the going.
Boy, he timed that perfectly. He stole about 3 car lengths on Gugelmin. Good start for Jacques Villeneuve.
Showed a lot of experience there, Sam, because what he did is slowed everybody down, got his foot on the brake, got the turbocharger lit, and let that thing go, and look how much he jumped him right away.
On board, third place, Bobby Rahal. Gugelmin just ahead.
Rahal has been working his way stealthily through the pack, reminding you he's third now.
59 laps are complete.
This is a typical Rahal race. Drive carefully in the opening going. If you don't have the fastest car, keep everything together, pick people off.
Dennis Vitolo again. Looks like engine this time. That should not bring out a full course. That'll just bring out local yellows, I would guess. Unless, of course, the car ends up in a precarious position on the racetrack and they have to tow it in.
Remember when Dennis wound up on top of Nigel Mansell in pit lane at Indy last year?
I don't think any of us like to see that. That had us all wondering there.
I don't think he's in the right spot on the track, do you, Bobby?
No. Battle for second now behind the leader. Rahal closing on Gugelmin. Jacques is pulling away.
And let's keep in mind, too, now you see Villeneuve in front of Gugelmin a little while ago before the yellow. For the pit stops, Gugelmin was ahead of Villeneuve. Now, when you're running in second place, you're running what we call dirty air. It messes up the car behind just a little bit going through turns like right now. Of course, that's slow speed through the chicane. But as you get through the faster turns, the front wings don't get enough downforce on the car that's behind. That hurts them a lot and makes passing a lot harder.
About 4 seconds cover the first 12 cars.
Rahal and his team have done more testing this year than any other year. They did 4,000 miles compared to a high of 3,000 any other year before. It's obviously paying off right at this moment. They seem to have a very well-balanced car right now.
Bobby Rahal is tired of doing development work. He wants to race this year, and he and Carl Hogan have told everybody, this year we're going to race. Development time is finished.
Well, they tried their own special chassis, then they tried the engine program with Honda. Neither of those things paid off for them. They were ambitious ideas and could have put them way out front. Now they've gone back to what you might call off-the-shelf stuff, and they're doing beautifully.
Bobby Rahal, of course, with Mercedes-Benz power. But Bobby Unser, that is not the same Mercedes-Benz power that won the Indianapolis 500 last year.
No, and I'm glad you brought that up, and it's time to explain it. This is really a copy of, or not a copy, but a similar thing to the Ford Cosworth engine, or what was the Elmore engine, or what was the Chevrolet engine before. Built by Elmore Engineering in England, it's just an updated version and Mercedes-Benz redevelopment or development of an engine. So it's still a very small 4-cam turbocharged small engine with just standard boosts as all the Cosworth engines have and everything else.
161 cubic inch engine. I asked Paul Morgan, one of the builders. The manufacturer is Ilmore, and Paul Morgan is the more of that. And I said, what can you do to an engine? What were you concerned with an engine that's formula has existed for so long? He said he's trying to get it to turn a little faster, and they worked very hard on helping it economize fuel this year.
I think the distinction that should be made, though, is it's not the kind of engine you might find in a Mercedes car, street machine. It's built purely for racing.
But what they did, Sam, to make it better than last year, or make it different, was they made it breathe better. Air is what makes engines run. If you put air and then put some fuel with it, they make more horsepower. And they definitely have more horsepower this year than they've had in the past, but it isn't the same engine. It's a development from that engine.
Danny Sullivan working on 4th place, Scott Pruitt.
Look at how exciting this is. They are not stretching out. They're compacting. It's very good racing.
First 5 cars all right together on the race course.
One just more little thing on the Mercedes thing. When we do go to Indianapolis, of which we'll be covering at ABC this year, they won't see the same Mercedes engine they saw last year. They'll see Mercedes engines there, but it won't be the rocker arm or what we call the stock block engine.
That formula is effectively outlawed.
It's outlawed. It won't happen anymore. We don't even see those engines around anymore, but I know all the fans ask me constantly about the Mercedes engine. They mean the one that little Al won with last year.
62 laps now complete.
See Bosell and the Duracell car leading. Christian Fittipaldi, both these men have had their troubles throughout this race. They're battling now, as you see, for 7th place. I think we're going to see a lot of both these men at the front throughout the year. They have good cars and they're extremely good drivers. Remember, Bosell is now the teammate to Bobby Rahal. Rahal is running 3rd.
By the way, Michael Andretti came back to tell us that he thinks he identified Christian Fittipaldi, that car that you see right there, as his problem, the number 15 car that came across him and made him rush the wall. And now he wants to correct that because he believes that, in fact, it was Alessio Salazar. Fittipaldi, it's a little offline. Gives the room to Vassar, and Vassar goes inside.
He got into the speed bump, had to slow down, and of course he lost a lot because of that. You can't get the car up on these curves or into the speed bumps very fast because you have problems.
That's a classic example of what one small little mistake means. A whole car length lost and a place lost.
And on this track, even getting on the curves, as we watch the camera shots, we see the curvings all the way around there on the left, all around. They don't run much on them here. They're very slippery. Also, you see they're all painted. Paint doesn't make it get it easier, it makes it more slippery.
Riding, of course, with Brian Herter, his teammate Vassar, 2 cars ahead. So the Chip Ganassi team well represented in this shot.
64 laps complete, 26 to go. They're averaging a little over a minute a lap, so it looks like without any new caution periods here, this course will run to its 90-lap conclusion, but it's going to be pretty close.
There's Vassar in the red car with the STP decal on the side of it. That's Vassar, then Fittipaldi, and then Herta. There's Herta just coming in the top of the screen.
Jimmy Vassar's an awfully good race driver. With Jim Hayhoe last year, under finance. Jim's a long-time good friend of mine. Got me into flying a lot of ways. Talked to him this morning, Sam, and Jim just said he didn't have enough money to keep the gap up. He had a good driver in Vassar, so he had to join with Chip Ganassi on the target team right there and become a member of that. Besides that, he says he's saving an awful lot of money himself personally.
Well, Vassar had a 3rd place finish last year. He has been very, very good. Of course, right now he's running 8th.
Very proud promoter here, Ralph Sanchez, says the crowd here is 90,000 today, completely sold out, turning people away. The Super Bowl held here, 72,000 at Joe Robbie Stadium. Let's go to Gary Gerald.
A couple of updates, Paul, concerning the defending champion Al Unser Jr. He's having to come to the pits about every 6 laps. One of the batteries that controls an alternator control box and other electronics keeps draining and the car begins to misfire. So they change a battery about every 6 laps. They're doing diagnostic work, but clearly he's just out there trying to learn more and more about a brand new race car. As for Jacques Villeneuve, we talked briefly with Barry Green, asked him if there were any concerns whatsoever. He says our concern is we've still just got too far to go. And looking at the history of this weekend with all the incidents, we're just hoping that he can stay and keep his nose clean. Other than that, car is working beautifully.
The 64 car is Christian Danner. He started in 21st position. He now runs 11th. Nice steady fire throughout the entire run of the race, and you got a glimpse of Adrian Fernandez there, involved in confrontation earlier, but was able to get the car back into the running. 66 laps now complete. Jacques Villeneuve may be looking at his 2nd IndyCar victory. Back live in Miami, a race that is now 68 laps old. It's scheduled for 90 laps or 2 hours, whichever comes first. Jack Arute, right now it looks like 90 laps is going to come first. So the question I would have is, what about fuel for a number of these teams?
Well, Paul, remember during that last stop, we said some crews were taking the gamble that it would go only the 2-hour distance. Now everybody's recalculating because the speed is picked up. They feel they're going to go to the 90 laps that was advertised. And here's what's happened. Bobby Rahal says they have enough to go the distance, enough fuel. His counterpart, Raul Boisel, does not. They feel they will have to go back and have a splash and go. For Robbie Gordon, the situation is thus. They feel they've got enough, but his problem is with the throttle sticking. He may have to come in as well. What about your end of the pits, Gary?
Well, Jack, everybody that we're checking here seems to be in good shape. That group includes Jacques Villeneuve. They say they're right on target. They're delighted with their fuel mileage they're getting thus far. Scott Pruitt's crew says the same. They're good till the end of the race. Also, the Pac West team, Gugelman and Sullivan, okay to the end of the event.
Villeneuve is the leader. There's second place. Mauricio Gugelman, Bobby Rahal third. Scott Pruitt. First three cars are on Goodyear tires. Scott Pruitt is on Firestone. Danny Sullivan runs in fifth place. We watch now the 18 car, the Pac West machine of Mauricio Gugelman, who's trying to stalk down the leader of the race.
There's no more affable driver than Gugelman, accessible to anyone at any time, a terrific guy to be around.
Just think, if the race were to end like this, think how bad that the Pac West guys are going to feel knowing that they actually lost the race in the pits. Not on the racetrack, but in the pits.
Well, take it the other way. How good are Barry Green's guys going to feel that they won it in the pits for Jack?
They're going to feel really good if that's what happens.
And, of course, they'll spread more money around, right?
That's right.
Remember, in this day and age, it isn't just the driver or the driver in the car. It's very much the crew chief that counts as a tactician, a man who works out the overall strategy as well sometimes. And Barry Green is always mentioned among the superstars in that category. If you race Barry Green, you know you've really got your hands full.
That's a lot of what makes our racing really good, Sam, is the pit stop. That really makes it exciting because it's like you said, it's teamwork.
Danny Sullivan, a year off didn't hurt him a bit.
Well, he has dropped, of course, from third and a more ambitious positioning on the track, now down to fifth. You wonder about his fitness. He is 44 years old, the second oldest driver in the race. Emerson Fittipaldi, 48. I doubt it. I mean, he's been pouring on the fitness as only he can, exercising, but there's nothing like driving a race car. Danny could conceivably be tiring. Just speculation.
Robbie Gordon just went out and around Eddie Cheever, putting him down a lap. Eddie Cheever runs in 16th place, driving the famous 14 of A.J. Boyd.
We were watching Robbie Gordon a couple of days ago when he was out here running, and we watched his hands. You watch his hands on the steering wheel, but you just saw there how smooth it is. The other day, he was jerking all over the track with the car that he was in, ultimately having some accidents, having some problems. He's really smoothed out during the race. Now, that's what his car owners, and that's what his sponsors are looking for. The boy really has a lot of talent, but he needs to smooth out a little bit.
And he also, Bobby, needs to win a race this year.
Danny Sullivan loops it in front of Robbie Gordon. Gordon climbs on the brakes. He gets around him. Danny's going to try to get the car going again. He's got the engine still fired. Jimmy Vasser comes around. Christian Fittipaldi comes around.
These cars don't have a good turning radius, and he's not going to be able to back that thing up.
They got a terrible turning radius. He needs somebody to push him back. He needs those men to come out. Look at him giving him the hand signal. He needs it so desperately. He's done such a good race. And he's losing it right now and losing it bad.
One of the IndyCar safety teams, as well as one of the course marshal members, is there. And they need to get through that fence and get Danny going. Danny Sullivan was running in fifth.
Look at this man is thinking he wants to get through the fence. He needs to do it. He wants to get pushed back. It's almost past tense now because it's going to be too late. Here he comes. You can see the rear wheels lit up. He got her loose, spun it around. But show you about experience, he's keeping the engine running. Now, while the engine's sitting there, incidentally, it's getting hot because there's no air flowing to it. They'll get hot in a hurry. Now watch, he's turning to the left as far as he can, but like you said, Paul, they won't turn very far. He's run out of room. He's on the grass. He's against the wall.
All right, now put this one into the strategy. Let's see how fast they can get that car off of the course as we ride with Robbie Gordon, because they've just gone full course yellow. So once again, the time factor may be a factor. Look at that.
Remember when Danny spun in front of Mario Andretti at Indianapolis and went on to win? That anniversary is coming up exactly on its 10th anniversary this year.
That Robbie Gordon did not know which side to go on. Boy, was he trying to make a decision there.
So with a full course yellow out once again, 72 laps or 90 of complete. Might be a 2-hour race as well. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Back live in Miami, that's Alicio Salazar standing over on the left side of your screen there, looking down on his number 7 car that did this under the full course yellow. Look at the vortice coming off the wing through that smoke. Does that tell you something about downforce?
Oh, man. You know what really is happening there, Paul, is the cylinder head of something breaks and the water is going to the turbocharger, causing all that white smoke.
Nevertheless, it fogged the course up for a bit. We were under full course yellow anyway. It may lengthen that a little bit. 74 laps are complete. And we'll see whether or not this turns out a timed race. Of course, in 2 weeks, Sunday, March 19th, here on ABC Sports, IndyCar action goes down under. The Australian IndyCar Grand Prix. Don't miss our coverage from Surfers Paradise in 2 weeks, right here on ABC Sports. So the leaders, once again, packed up behind the pace car. 10 cars, all right together there, all fighting for position. As they get Danny Sullivan back underway so he can rejoin this pack. But he'll be well down in the field.
When the race resumes, it's going to be an incredible struggle between the youth of Jacques Villeneuve and the experience of Bobby Rahal, I think, as this thing develops. Because I think Rahal may very well get past Guzman and take on Villeneuve.
You don't see Guzman as a factor?
I see him as a factor. I think we're going to see a lot of Bobby Rahal.
He's going to pull going, Sam. I disagree with you.
Robbie Gordon went out to make a move. Tried to get around Scott Pruitt. Battle back in the field. Didn't get it done. Focus is on the front. Gordon, boy, he came way wide off of that corner. On board, Robbie Gordon.
You can see all the fence wavering. That's from the air that the cars are disturbing as they go by. They're not really hitting the wall, causing the fence to do that.
And that's a chain link fence.
Positions. So Pruitt now beginning to battle with Bobby Rahal. Battle between Firestone and Goodyear.
You know, this is the right time of the race to really see what the tires are doing. The track is about as slippery as it's going to get. So the Firestone guys and the Goodyear guys are all looking at this. Leo Mel himself is here, looking from Goodyear to see how the tires are going to react at the end of the race. Here's one of the best contests I could ever believe for that.
The amazing thing is the challenge of the tire builders. They have to build for a track like this, then a mile speedway like Phoenix, and then they have to build the super speedway tires for Indianapolis, where they have to go 225 and more.
Of course, Scott Pruitt has spent a fairly lonely year testing those tires so they would be ready for this comeback in IndyCar racing.
And that's testing with no publicity or anything. Everything was deep secret. Wouldn't let anybody see it, know what was going on, and Firestone came out, and they've really done a good job. I'm sure Leo Mel from Goodyear is really watching that today. Did Firestone really catch up this quick?
Everybody maintains position. Fittipaldi working at the back of Jimmy Vasser. Villeneuve, Guzman, Rahal, Pruitt, Robbie Gordon, top 5. Then Vasser, Fittipaldi, Brian Herta, Raul Boisel, and Christian Danner rounding out the top 10. Vasser is that target car in front there. The second target car in the line right behind Fittipaldi is Brian Herta.
Herta, remember, injured badly in Toronto last year. This is his first race back. He's had the whole winter to convalesce. It's good to see him racing again and competitive, too.
On board, Brian Herta, the 8th place car. Villeneuve is 9/10 of a second ahead of Mauricio Guzman in front. We'll keep looking here.
The onboard cameras in the cars, we can watch the guys' hands, and especially on this track, see how much they work. It kind of tells you how they're handling, how hard they're hustling the car. Brian Herta, for example, really is smooth. He's just class smooth.
Boy, very tidy at that chicane for Herta, for sure, Bobby.
Oh, Fittipaldi's right there at the back of Vasser's car. Fittipaldi making a charge now. Battle for 5th or 6th place. Battle for 6th.
Remember, Fittipaldi having his first race in an Indy car. Do not confuse him with his uncle Emerson. Did I get it right?
You got it right, Sam.
Good.
77 laps complete, 90 laps scheduled distance. We're still looking at a race at distance. But the 2-hour time limit is going to be fairly close behind it. 10 cars all on the leader lap.
Tires after a yellow are always a little bit faster. You see that most of the passing and most of the charging and most of the fights going on right after yellow. They'll lay back sometimes, let their tires cool off, because these cars really use their tires hard. So then they only have a little bit before they get them on again to make another
run for a pass.
This is a good battle between Vassar here and Fittipaldi representing Vassar, of course, a great up-and-coming American driver. Fittipaldi, a guy who was coming up through the European ranks, has finished as high as third and fourth. Look at that.
Oh, Christian Fittipaldi right underneath. Scared him so bad that Herta came under him too.
Whoa.
There's something wrong with the car. It just almost quit and slowed down.
Look at it dart.
Big time.
Al Unser Jr. right behind him. Al goes well off the pace of the race.
Yeah, there's something went wrong with the car there because it doesn't slow down that much just because he made a little bit of a mistake.
Can you believe a race, an IndyCar race in this age where we have not seen Al Unser Jr. almost all day, way out front? Isn't it amazing?
Well, let's consider this. If he stays where he is, Al Unser Jr. won't finish in the points. Emerson Fittipaldi won't finish in the points. They were first and second in the points last year. Other considerations in that whole points battle, you're going to see
Paul Tracy won't finish in the points. He was third.
Michael Andretti, who led this race and took the pole, only leads here with 2 points, 1 for leading the most laps and 1 for the pole, and that's it.
You know, with Vassar's car, it almost looked like maybe it didn't pick up the fuel for a moment there. He was hooked up and going real good, and all of a sudden it just quit. Then he gets back up to speed. Sometimes, and remember, this is the first race of the season again, the fuel tank sometimes suck a little bit of air, the lines do, through the fuel tank, and that caused them to quit momentarily.
Sprint to the finish now here in Miami. The first race on this circuit that uses part of Biscayne Boulevard past the Freedom Tower. The old Customs House here. You can see it there just briefly in the shot of the skyline of Miami, and Brian Herta's into the barrier.
Into the tires pretty hard, and he's got some stuff bent up there, so he won't be doing very much more. I think he's going to be out of the race right there, Paul.
He wants him to back him out. But now, as we close with just 10 laps to the finish, the officials will have to make a decision of whether or not it's worthwhile to put anybody on the course and get him out. Dean Hall comes very slowly past that scene.
Notice that Rahal has closed up on Gugelmin. I missed my guess, of course. I thought Rahal would get by Gugelmin, but I think he's able to press him pretty hard.
And we go full course yellow. Boy, now it's going to be close.
Well, this is what everybody, it'll be close on the time, but this is what they all want because of their fuel. This is going to put everybody into a really good window for fuel. In other words, they ought to be able to go to the end.
And bring the whole front of the field right together. They were ready to go to the end anyway. So this is going to tighten up the order, and Jacques Villeneuve will lose a 2-second advantage that he maintained. We'll be back. Back live, Miami, Florida, Indy cars under a full course yellow. And just before this yellow came out, IndyCar Race Control and Chief Steward Wally Dallenbach said we're going to run the 90-lap distance. Now, we'll let you know if there is any change to that, because if the yellow would go another minute or so longer, it would put that 2-hour time limit in jeopardy. Brian Herta's car being removed from the barriers, looking for damage now that might prevent him from continuing on, and I see nothing obvious.
Paul, isn't that amazing? We expected to see the front end of that car wadded up a little bit. Look at the wings. They still look good also. Shows you how good those tire barriers work.
Coming up next on ABC Sports, there's regional coverage on Pizza Hut College basketball. Number 1, UCLA takes on Louisville. ACC rivals go head-to-head as Maryland battles Virginia. Big 8 power Kansas hosts Oklahoma State, or Florida meets Vanderbilt.
We are headed for a very, very close finish.
I just can't believe that you get in the tires that much and come out with a car looking that clean.
Jacques Villeneuve had offers to go into Formula One this year. He decided to stick with Indy cars, get more experience. As I said, he's only 23 years old. He won one race last year toward the end of the season in his rookie year. He is a prodigy, and it's interesting to see whether he'll be able to hang on and win the opening race this year.
Well, there's the leader. Second place, third place, fourth Scott Pruitt, Robbie Gordon. As Jim Swintal, the starter, has the green flag in his hand. Race Control has said it will be a 90-lap race. Forget any time.
Look at how many drivers are out of the race.
Look at some of the names. Andretti, Johansson, Fittipaldi, Tracy. Let's go to Jack Root.
Well, Paul, this long yellow has enabled Bobby Rahal to cool his tires. He was reporting to his crew that he couldn't pass because he had a severe push going into several of the turns. He radioed back in, though. He's happy that it is going the 90-lap distance. When they drop the green, look for him to try one more time to take a stab at second-place Gugelmin. We'll have to wait and see if he's got it.
Villeneuve stands the throttle. Green flag comes out. Again, he is able to get a bit of advantage, though not as much as he did last time on the restart on Gugelmin. Rahal and Gugelmin stay right there, glued to the back end with 8 laps to go.
And Jack, of course, I think we won't see any stupid moves from Bobby Rahal. 3-time champion, knows how to put these championships together, often a second or a third, particularly if you think you're racing men who may not be as much of a threat over the whole year as others.
We stay with you right to the checkered flag now. That's into the end of this race, 83 laps gone. A wily veteran in third place there, and the professorial Bobby Rahal back with Mercedes power. Carries him in third place, going to get it to the front.
Normally speaking, they're going to have to do the passing now. Pretty quick when their tires are full.
Gordon's car, and all the way over and through the barrier.
This is a big one, obviously.
He's moving. I assume he's okay. Be careful with that assumption.
What? He crashed a car earlier over the weekend.
Right in.
This is his backup car.
I may have said over the barrier.
Into the barrier and under the tires there.
IndyCar safety team in there.
I think it's going to be pretty good. I don't think it's going to be as bad as it looked in the beginning, Paul, because those tires have just done miracles so far. Look at all the safety guys working over him. He's moving his head. Tires might have beat him up pretty good, but I'll bet he's all right.
Race is continuing under green. This is being covered by a local yellow. Robbie Gordon out of the car with the applause of the fans here.
Always good to see that. But he was strapped with the tires and had him tied inside the car.
What a race he's driven, too. Sticking throttle through the entire day. Maybe that's what put him off here. Here's the replay of the situation.
Here's a driver launching down a straightaway here. Going fast. See the rear end jump around his car. Whoa! Now, that one I can't answer. Why it jumped out did not show on the cameras. And by golly, I couldn't figure that one out.
Boy, Bobby veered to the left there.
Didn't seem to correct the steering to indicate that he knew something was wrong either.
Again, yellow only in that area of the race course. We're racing the rest of the way around. Here's the incident again involving Robbie Gordon.
He got loose there. The rear end came around. You can see that. Looks like he's okay here. Just a slight turn to the right, no big deal, and look at the car. Just goes straight. He locked up the tires just at the last minute, but we still didn't see any indication what went wrong unless, like for example, a tire went down really quick on it.
You're quicker than I didn't even know it was Bronco. I'll tell you what, though, take a look at that car, that condition, that situation, and stop and think how safe they are. They're so well built.
Oh, think how hard that is on his heart, though, just to go directly at that kind of speed into the tires. It's really, you just don't know how hard you're going to hit.
Over 4 laps to go. Jacques Villeneuve looking for his second IndyCar victory, but the decision not yet made. Rahal, Prix, Gugelmin, Christian Fittipaldi, they all want to have something to say about it, and they are in a position to do so.
Look how
the track is also getting very slick.
Yeah, Fox, I was going to mention, look how the cars are twitching and jumping around. The tires are kind of wearing out. The track is really slippery at the end of the race. It's what we always expect, the hardest time of the day to pass right now.
And Rahal there in the black and yellow car coming under pressure now from Pruitt in the red car with Firestone. So a Goodyear car there. He's pursued hot and heavy by a Firestone car.
Philadelphia is 1.1 seconds ahead. An eternity on a race course of this style in these closing laps.
And able to pull away now for the second or third time.
Well, the yellow, of course, helped him by pulling all the back markers into the back of the field, so he knows it's clear sailing to the checker.
Exactly.
Pruitt and Rahal.
Rahal holding down third. What a terrific thing for Pruitt to pass him and get a podium finish for Firestone on their first try back into IndyCar racing.
Yeah, I don't remember Sam and Paul ever seeing Pruitt, or at least my memory doesn't serve, that he's ever driven such a good, consistent, and hard race. New team, Firestone tires, the driver that's basically been off for a year just testing. I think he's really done good.
I don't think Scott Pruitt has ever in the IndyCar has been given the opportunity he deserved. I think you're going to see a lot out of it.
I was going to say such a great IndyCar race, Bobby, because in fact, of course, he's the current Trans Am champion. He's a master of that kind of car, and we've also seen him do brilliant things in IROC cars. I think he's just never had the fair opportunity in IndyCar.
I think you're right, Sam.
Ray Hall, you see the serial scoring up. The race started 11. Now runs third.
It's hard to make a pass here. I mean, we've seen
it's all waiting for somebody to make a mistake. That's really what it's all about. Like Prix would like to push Ray Hall hard enough to make him make a mistake. And that's exactly what Ray Hall's trying to do, the man right in front of him there.
3 laps to go. We'll go the distance here.
Ray Hall, 3 times national champion, battling men who don't have anything like his credentials.
Fuel should not be a problem for any of these cars. They should all have enough.
There's the leader. There's the interval. Ray Hall on Goodyear, Pruitt on Firestone. I remember when you and your brother raced, Bobby, for one for Goodyear, one for Firestone, and you cut one of the tire jackets in half and made a good stone on the fire year. Yeah.
That's what my parents used to wear.
Villeneuve, of course, the youngest driver in the race.
First time carrying 27.
Coming in at Firestone to this race is certainly going to make IndyCar racing better.
At number 27, of course, his father makes him very famous. Boy, I'll tell you what, that's not much of an interval at all. I know he's commanding it right now, but all it would take is just a little twitch.
Just a little slip. In other words, he wouldn't even have to do very much. He'd get past right now. So he's being very careful. That's one of the reasons why he isn't pulling away very much at all, is because he's being very careful. The winning is really the only important thing.
I think this race is going to be remembered for the terrific return to racing by Firestone, by the terrific performance of Jacques Villeneuve, and never forget that Pac West, in the form of Mauricio Gugelmin in second place, has suddenly entered the ranks of the top team. So a lot of new things have happened in this race that are significant and are going to give shape to the way the season develops.
So working the final lap now. Jacques Villeneuve may in fact have his second IndyCar race wrapped up. Second place may still be in doubt as Gugelmin is still being attacked by Bobby Rahal. There's Pruitt running under in 4th place. Christian Fittipaldi is going to come home with a 5th if he stays where he is. Boisel is 6th, Danner is 7th, Vassar is 8th, 9th is Danny Sullivan, and Brian Herta is 10th right now. None of those positions in contest as we watch the leader.
At that early age, it could be his second IndyCar win.
Boy, is this a future champion of IndyCar? Look how smooth. He knows there's a checkered flag waiting for him, and there it is. The first race of the IndyCar season is done. They celebrate. In Jacques Villeneuve's pits, he has taken his second IndyCar victory. Gugelmin comes across the line in second, followed by Rahal, followed by Scott Pruitt, then Christian Fittipaldi in 5th. In 6th place, Raoul Boisel, then Christian Danner up to 7th. Jimmy Vassar in 8th. 9th, Danny Sullivan. Brian Herta finished in 10th. Allinger Jr. could only manage a 15th place out of the points. But congratulations to the winner here. As Toyota presents the Grand Prix of Miami, they'll be presenting Jacques Villeneuve with a rather large check as the winner here today. We'll be back to talk with him. Right after this, you're going to see a very happy young man, winner of the first race of this IndyCar season. Celebration, winner's circle. Jacques Villeneuve has just pulled to a stop and climbed out of the car. Jack Arut's right there.
Well, Paul, it's the first victory for this team. Team Green coming together after last year being involved with Forsyth Racing as well. And Jacques Villeneuve, congratulations. First victory of the 1995 season belongs to you.
Sorry, say that again?
Congratulations.
Thanks a lot. I'd like to thank the guys big times because we won the race in the pit stops and they did tremendous pits. During the whole weekend, we lost about 1 hour of track time because of engine problems, so we weren't sure how the car would feel in the race, but it felt great.
A lot of people were a little bit concerned when the announcement came that Forsyth Green was going to split up, but it doesn't seem as if your part of the operation is missed a beat.
Well, you know, all the key elements stayed in place. There's only a few guys that went away. So the chemistry was still there, the important guys were still there, and it's still a great team.
When you come to victory lane like this, do thoughts go back to your father?
Actually, no, not yet, not really, because I was thinking about all the guys and Players Limited, who's behind me, who's trusting me, and everybody works hard, and it's great that we can finish a weekend on a high note like that.
Well, it's great to see you in victory lane and number 27 as well. Let's check in with Paul Page.
Well, Mauricio Gugelmin finished in second. Congratulations to Jacques. The second place finish by Gugelmin, that's his best finish of his career. Christian Danner finished in seventh, the best of his IndyCar career. And Christian Fittipaldi, in his first start, finishes in fifth place. So as we suggested at the starting here, we're seeing new faces, we're seeing new equipment, we're seeing new tires, and it sure is changing things. Let's go back to Jacques Arut.